Imagine spending 4 years fighting for one moment, working late-night shifts, waking before sunrise, surviving rejection after rejection, only to have someone destroy it in 10 seconds. At exactly 11:17 on a bright Saturday morning, Maya Bennett walked onto her graduation stage with tears of relief in her eyes. Nearly 2,000 people watched as she finally received the diploma she'd sacrificed everything to earn. Her mother stood in the crowd, crying with pride. But standing just a few feet away was Vanessa Whitmore, the spoiled daughter of one of the most powerful CEOs in the state. Vanessa hated Maya, and when Maya proudly raised her diploma, Vanessa suddenly stepped forward, grabbed it with both hands. Rip!
She tore it in half.
The entire crowd went dead silent. Vanessa laughed, dropped the pieces at Maya's feet, and thought she'd just humiliated her in front of everyone. But Maya calmly picked up the pieces, looked Vanessa straight in the eyes, and said, "You just made a mistake." Because sitting in the front row was one man Vanessa didn't recognize. And what he did next would cost her father almost everything. At exactly 11:17 on a bright Saturday morning, Maya Bennett walked across the graduation stage with tears in her eyes. Not tears of sadness. Tears of relief.
For years.
4 years of working until midnight, waking before sunrise, studying between shifts, and wondering whether she would ever reach this moment. And now, beneath a cloudless blue sky, with nearly 2,000 people watching from rows of white chairs spread across the university lawn, Maya was finally about to receive her diploma. Her mother, Denise, sat in the third row. She was already crying. "That's my baby," Denise shouted. Several parents laughed warmly. Maya looked toward her mother and smiled. She had imagined this moment hundreds of times. But she had never imagined what would happen 10 seconds later. Standing near the center of the stage was Richard Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Technologies and chairman of the university's board of trustees. At 58, Richard was one of the most powerful businessmen in the state. His company employed thousands of people. His donations had funded scholarships, laboratories, and even the new business school building. And standing beside him was his 22-year-old daughter, Vanessa. Vanessa wasn't graduating. She wasn't a professor. She wasn't even supposed to be handing out diplomas. But her father had arranged for her to participate in the ceremony as a student leadership representative. Vanessa smiled as Maya approached. But it wasn't a friendly smile. The two women knew each other. And that was the problem. 3 months earlier, Maya and Vanessa had worked together on a student entrepreneurship competition. Vanessa had expected to win. Her father had sponsored part of the program, and everyone assumed the trophy would somehow end up in her hands. But Maya's project, a low-cost educational platform for students from underfunded schools, had beaten Vanessa's luxury networking app. The judges had chosen Maya unanimously. Vanessa had never forgiven her. As Maya approached the podium, the university president shook her hand. "Congratulations, Maya." "Thank you, sir." Richard Whitmore handed Maya the diploma folder. "Well earned," he said quietly. Maya smiled. "Thank you." She turned toward the audience. Applause erupted. Her mother stood. Maya raised the diploma slightly. Then Vanessa stepped forward. "Wait." Maya stopped. The microphone picked up Vanessa's voice. The applause faded. Vanessa smiled toward the audience. "I think we should make sure she actually earned what's inside." A few nervous laughs came from the crowd. Maya's smile disappeared. "Vanessa, what are you doing?" Vanessa reached for the diploma. Maya pulled it back. "Don't." That single word should have ended it. Instead, Vanessa grabbed the document with both hands and pulled. Rip. The sound traveled through the microphone. The crowd went silent. Maya stared at Vanessa. Half the diploma was in her own hand. The other half was in Vanessa's. Vanessa looked down at the torn paper. Then she laughed. Oops. Nobody else laughed. Not one person. Maya's mother covered her mouth. The university president froze. Even Richard Whitmore looked stunned. "Vanessa," he whispered. But his daughter wasn't finished. She tore her half again. And then she dropped the pieces near Maya's feet. "Maybe they'll print you another one." Gasps spread across the lawn. Hundreds of phones came out. Maya looked down at the pieces. For 4 years, that diploma had represented everything. Every morning, she'd taken the 6:10 bus to campus. Every night, she'd worked at a grocery store to help her mother with rent. Every scholarship application, every rejection, every exam, every moment she'd almost quit. And Vanessa had reduced the symbol of all that work to pieces of paper in less than 10 seconds.
Maya slowly bent down.
She picked up the pieces. Vanessa leaned toward her. "Don't be so dramatic." Maya stood. For a moment, anger burned across her face. She could have screamed. She could have thrown the pieces back at Vanessa. She could have created exactly the scene Vanessa expected. Instead, Maya looked directly at her and said 5 words. "You just made a mistake." Vanessa smiled. "What are you going to do?" Maya didn't answer. She walked off the stage. The crowd began applauding. Quietly at first, then louder. Soon, hundreds of people were standing. Maya stopped at the stairs. She looked toward her mother. Denise was crying, but she was standing too. And then something happened that Vanessa hadn't expected. The applause wasn't stopping. Students stood. Professors stood. Parents stood. Even several university trustees stood. Within seconds, almost the entire lawn was on its feet. Vanessa's confident expression disappeared. Richard Whitmore looked across the audience. Then he looked at the phones recording his daughter. His face went pale. He understood something Vanessa didn't. This wasn't staying on campus. By lunchtime, the video had already been uploaded. And before sunset, millions of people would know Vanessa Whitmore's name. But that wasn't what would cost her father everything. The real problem was the man sitting quietly in the front row. A man Vanessa had never seen before. A man who had come to graduation specifically to meet Maya Bennett. His name was Daniel Mercer. And Richard Whitmore knew exactly who he was. Maya left the stage and walked behind the administration building. Her mother followed. "Maya." Maya turned. The second Denise reached her daughter, she wrapped both arms around her. For several seconds, Maya said nothing. Then her composure finally cracked. "I worked so hard for this." "I know." She destroyed it in front of everybody. "No," Denise said. Maya looked at her. She tore a piece of paper. Denise touched her daughter's graduation gown. "She didn't destroy what you earned." Maya wiped her eyes. Behind them, someone spoke. "Your mother is right." They turned. A tall man in a gray suit stood several feet away. He looked to be in his early 60s. Maya recognized him. He had been sitting in the front row. "I'm sorry," Maya said. "Do I know you?"
No.
"But I've been hoping to meet you." He extended his hand. "Daniel Mercer." Maya's eyes widened. She knew the name. Almost everyone in the technology industry did. Daniel Mercer had founded Mercer Global Ventures, an investment company known for backing education and technology startups. 2 months earlier, Maya had submitted her educational platform to one of Mercer's fellowship programs. More than 12,000 people had applied. Maya hadn't heard anything back. Until now. "I read your proposal," Daniel said. Maya stared at him. "You did." 3 times. For the first time since leaving the stage, Maya forgot about Vanessa. Daniel smiled. "We've been looking for you all morning." Maya glanced toward her mother. Denise looked just as shocked. Daniel continued. "Your platform isn't perfect." Maya's heart sank slightly. "But the idea is excellent. More importantly, you understand the people you're building it for." He paused. "Our committee selected 5 finalists." Maya swallowed. "And you're one of them." Denise screamed. Maya laughed through her tears. "Mom, I'm sorry." Daniel laughed. "I think she's allowed." Then his expression became serious. "There's something else." Back on the graduation lawn, Richard Whitmore was having a very different conversation. "What were you thinking?" Vanessa crossed her arms. "Dad, relax." "Relax." Richard lowered his voice. There were cameras everywhere. So you humiliated a graduate on stage during an event with our company name printed on half the banners." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting." Richard stared at his daughter. That attitude had once amused him. Now it frightened him. because Richard knew exactly how Vanessa had become this way. For years, he had protected her from consequences. When she crashed her first car, he bought another. When she was suspended from school, he donated to a new athletic center, and the matter disappeared. When employees complained about her behavior during internships, Richard moved them to other departments. Every problem had been solved with money, influence, or silence. Vanessa had learned one lesson from her father. Rules were for people without power. Richard's phone rang. He looked at the screen. His stomach tightened. It was Elena Park, Whitmore Technologies' chief legal officer. He answered. Richard. Have you seen the video? I'm standing at the graduation. It's spreading. How bad? A pause. Very. Richard closed his eyes. Handle it. We have another problem. What? People are identifying Vanessa as your daughter. Obviously. And they're connecting her to the company. Richard looked toward the banners surrounding the stage. Whitmore Technologies. The company had sponsored the ceremony. What do you need from me? I need Vanessa away from cameras. Immediately. Richard hung up. Then another call came. And another. And another. By 1:30 that afternoon, the video had crossed 1 million views. By 2:15, several major accounts had reposted it. But online outrage wasn't Richard's biggest concern. At 2:40, his assistant called. Richard, we just received a message from Mercer Global Ventures. Richard stopped walking. Mercer? They want to postpone Monday's signing. Richard felt his chest tighten. For almost 8 months, Whitmore Technologies had been negotiating a massive partnership with Daniel Mercer's investment group. The agreement would provide the funding Richard needed to expand his company into international markets. Without it, Whitmore Technologies would face serious financial pressure. Why? They said Mr. Mercer wants to review today's incident. Richard looked across the campus and suddenly remembered the man in the front row. Daniel Mercer.
No.
Vanessa looked at him.
What?
Richard ignored her. Where is Mercer now? His assistant answered. We don't know. Richard ended the call. He immediately called Daniel. No answer. Again. No answer. Dad, what's happening? Richard slowly turned toward Vanessa. Do you know who is sitting in the front row? How would I know? Daniel Mercer. Vanessa shrugged. Okay. Richard stared at her. She genuinely didn't understand. Our biggest investor. Her expression changed. Richard stepped closer. The man who could determine whether thousands of people continue working for my company watched you do that. Vanessa's face lost some color. But it has nothing to do with the company. Everything you do has something to do with the company when I put you on that stage under our name. For once, Vanessa had nothing to say. Meanwhile, Daniel Mercer was sitting with Maya and Denise inside a quiet conference room. He placed a folder on the table. Our final interview was supposed to happen next week, he said. But after meeting you today, I'd like to move things forward. Maya opened the folder. Her eyes widened. The fellowship included funding, mentorship, office space, and access to Mercer's development team. It could turn her university project into a real company. Why me? Maya asked. Daniel leaned back. Because I've invested in ideas for 30 years. Ideas matter. He pointed toward the torn diploma sitting beside her. But character matters more. Maya looked down. Daniel continued. What happened today was unfair. But when someone tried to humiliate you in front of thousands of people, you didn't become cruel in return. He smiled. That's the kind of founder I can trust. Maya's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Unknown number. Then another message appeared. Richard Whitmore would like to speak with you privately. Maya stared at it. Daniel noticed. Whitmore. Maya nodded. Daniel's expression changed. You should hear what he has to say. Why? Because sometimes people don't understand the cost of their choices until the bill arrives. At 4:05 that afternoon, Maya walked into the university's administration building. Sunlight poured through the tall glass windows. Richard Whitmore was waiting inside a conference room. Vanessa sat beside him. The confidence she'd shown on stage was gone. Richard stood when Maya entered. Maya. She remained near the door. My mother is waiting outside. Of course. Richard gestured toward a chair. Maya sat. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Richard placed a new diploma folder on the table. The university printed another copy. Maya looked at it. She didn't touch it. Richard cleared his throat. What happened today was unacceptable. Vanessa looked away. Richard continued. I want to apologize on behalf of my family. Maya looked at Vanessa. Your family didn't rip my diploma. Silence. Richard turned toward his daughter. Vanessa finally looked at Maya. I'm sorry. Maya waited. Vanessa sighed. I shouldn't have done it. Why did you? Vanessa frowned. What? Why did you rip it? Vanessa looked toward her father. He couldn't answer for her this time. Finally, Vanessa said, I was angry about the competition. Because I won? Vanessa didn't answer. Maya nodded slowly. That's what I thought. Richard leaned forward. We would like to make this right. Maya's expression hardened.
How?
We'll cover any expenses. Graduate school. Business costs. Whatever is appropriate. Maya stared at him. You think I'm here for money?
No.
That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Richard had negotiated deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But suddenly, sitting across from a 22-year-old graduate, he couldn't find the right words. Maya looked at Vanessa. I don't need your money. She picked up the replacement diploma. And I don't need revenge. Then she stood. But she does need something. Richard looked up. What? Consequences. The room went silent. Maya continued. Because somebody taught her that she could treat people however she wanted, and someone powerful would clean up afterward. Richard slowly looked at his daughter. For the first time, Maya saw embarrassment on his face. Not embarrassment because of the video. Something deeper. Recognition. Maya walked toward the door. Before leaving, she turned. Mr. Whitmore, your daughter didn't become this person today. Richard said nothing. Today was just the first time everyone else saw it. Then Maya left. Richard remained seated. Vanessa crossed her arms. She's being dramatic. Richard turned toward her. And something inside him changed. He finally heard what everyone else had been hearing for years. The entitlement. The contempt. The complete absence of responsibility. No, Richard said. Vanessa blinked. What? She's right. Dad. I've spent your entire life protecting you from consequences. Vanessa stared at him. And I convinced myself I was protecting my daughter. He shook his head. But I was teaching you that nothing mattered. His phone buzzed. A message from his board. Emergency meeting, 5 p.m. Richard stood. Where are you going? To deal with the consequences. What about me? Richard looked at Vanessa. For once, you're going to deal with your own. At 5 o'clock, Whitmore Technologies' board held an emergency video meeting. Several major clients had requested explanations. 2 corporate partners had paused negotiations. The university announced it was reviewing Richard's position on its board. But the biggest blow came from Daniel Mercer. Mercer Global Ventures suspended its proposed investment. Not because Vanessa had torn a diploma. Daniel made that clear. His concerns went deeper. During the partnership review, his team had discovered repeated complaints involving Vanessa's internships at Whitmore Technologies. Complaints that had been quietly buried. Employees had reported insults, intimidation, and preferential treatment. And Richard had repeatedly intervened. What looked like one spoiled daughter's public mistake had revealed something investors feared much more. A leadership culture where accountability depended on your last name. Within 2 weeks, the partnership collapsed. Whitmore Technologies' board launched an internal investigation. Richard stepped down as chairman while it proceeded. Several senior managers who had helped bury complaints were dismissed. Vanessa lost every position connected to the company. For the first time in her life, her father's name couldn't erase what she'd done. But Maya's story was only beginning. 3 months later, she stood inside a small office filled with computers, whiteboards, and half-empty coffee cups. A new sign had just been installed outside. BridgeLearn, her educational platform. Daniel Mercer's firm had provided seed funding, but Maya still owned the majority of her company. That had been her condition. She wanted help, not control. Within its first year, Bridgelearn partnered with dozens of underfunded schools. Students who couldn't afford expensive tutoring could access lessons, mentorship, scholarship information, and college preparation tools for free. One afternoon, Maya returned to her old university. The campus looked almost exactly the same. Same buildings, same lawn, same stage. A new graduating class sat beneath the bright daytime sun. This time, Maya wasn't receiving a diploma. She was delivering the commencement address. Her mother sat in the front row, and framed inside Maya's office, miles away, was something unusual. Not her replacement diploma. The original one. Still torn. Maya had carefully placed the pieces together inside a glass frame. She never repaired it, because she wanted to remember something. When Maya reached the podium, hundreds of students looked up at her. She smiled. "Last year," she began, "someone tried to turn the proudest moment of my life into my most humiliating one." The crowd became quiet. "I thought she had ruined my graduation." Maya paused. But eventually I understood something. She looked toward her mother. "Nobody can destroy what you earned simply by destroying the symbol of it." Applause began. Maya continued. "Your degree isn't the paper." More applause. "Your character isn't your reputation." She looked across the graduating class. "And power isn't having enough money to escape consequences." The audience erupted. Maya waited until it became quiet again. "Real power is knowing who you are when somebody gives you every reason to become someone worse." Her mother wiped away a tear. Maya smiled. "And sometimes, the person who tries to embarrass you in front of everyone accidentally introduces everyone to you." The graduate stood. The applause rolled across the lawn. And this time, Maya allowed herself to enjoy every second of it. Because 1 year earlier, Vanessa Whitmore had stood on that same stage believing a last name made her untouchable. She had ripped Maya's diploma because she wanted to prove that Maya didn't belong. Instead, she exposed the behavior her father's power had hidden for years. The torn diploma was replaced in hours. Maya's dignity had never been destroyed at all. But the reputation Richard Whitmore had spent decades building? That couldn't be reprinted. And as Maya walked away from the podium beneath the afternoon sun, she remembered the 5 words she'd spoken when Vanessa dropped those torn pieces at her feet. "You just made a mistake." She had been right. Vanessa simply had no idea how expensive that mistake would become.